to Bad Larry.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bad Larry Kingdom. Merry Christmas as well, and Happy New Year. As 2024 rounds down to a close, I wanted to show you guys my completed custom action figures that I completed in 2024. Well, why didn't you film the process, Bad Larry? And you know what? It's a good question. If I film, I don't always finish. I would rather finish the figure and show you guys than try and film every step of the way. Right now, I don't have the equipment for all of that. Maybe next year in 2025 I will, but for now, here are the custom figures I completed in 2024. But first, as a bonus, I wanted to give you my top 3 Marvel Legend figures of 2024. Everyone does a top 10. Boring. Nobody cares about 7th place. Look at the Olympics. It's bronze, silver, and gold that matters, baby. In 3rd place, getting the bronze for 2024, is the Immortal Iron Fist, released in April 23rd as part of the 85th anniversary 2-pack with Luke Cage. The main criterion for making the cut is how much is this figure a paragon of the comic visage. For example, of a great figure missing the cut because it is not the paragon out of the box is the Deadpool and Wolverine movie Wolverine figure. Most people love it, only after they've modded it by swapping out the arms for the unsleeved arms. Having to mod a figure out of the box disqualifies it. So why is this Iron Fist so great? It is pinless with the butterfly joints and it's on the correct body frame. It comes with 2 heads and 4 pair of hands and 2 Iron Fist effects. The costume is absolutely perfect. The dragon tattoo is perfect. The articulation is perfect, as this figure has that sweet, sweet toe articulation. So if you're gushing so hard on it, why is it in 3rd place, Bad Larry? Well, Iron Fist has to blame his BFF Luke Cage for this. Hiding this figure behind a 2-pack with a $50 price tag is whack. If you purchase the Afro throwback Luke Cage, now you have to have a second modern Luke Cage, whether you want him or not. I understand these characters are a team and bros and all of that, but if that is the case, why didn't the throwback Luke Cage come with this Iron Fist as well? This Iron Fist figure is wonderful. I just wish he was offered as a single figure and not in a 2-pack. Now on to the silver medal. Flying into the number 2 spot is none other than the golden-haired billionaire Warren Worthington III, aka the Angel. This figure I did purchase this year. This work of art was also released in April, just in time for my birthday. This figure came out as a deluxe on the Vulcan Buck with 2 heads and 2 hands. What are the negatives of this figure? Well, no butterfly joints for one, but I do understand why that is. This figure needs some sort of structural support for the wings, so having butterfly joints was just not going to work with the engineering, and I understand it completely. What I don't understand is why no straight flying hands? Take away those open claw hands and give me some straight flying karate chop hands. Angel looks like his one purpose on the team is replacing and sealing light bulbs. Don't worry, guys, I get it. I like the 2 heads having different masks. It gives the figure a bit more variety, but this is also a bit of a downfall for the figure and character in general. Some people wanted this painted in his blue costume with the halo. Some wanted, like I wanted, the figure in the red with the white X to fit in with the classic X Factor team. This costume is cool, but I think in general the character doesn't have an Angel iconic look, like let's say the Jim Lee Cyclops iconic look or the Tiger Stripe Wolverine iconic look. Either way, the costume was going to upset someone, so I guess this is what they settled on.
Well, it sounds like you only have negative comments about the figure there, Bad Larry. How did it rate as number 2 best figure of 2024?
Well, despite all its minor flaws, it is a sight to behold on the shelf. No matter where I put him, he commands all the attention. As I gander up and down, left and right, admiring my collection, my eyes always find its way to the Angel. And every day I say, dang, that's a cool figure. The wings, man! It's the wings! So, who took the gold medal, the top spot, the king of the hill? Well, I should say queen of the hill. It is none other than Jean Grey with Phoenix Force display. A deluxe figure as well. This was released for pre-order in July, but when you received it, well, that depends on who you bought it from. Either way, it was a huge hit for 2024, no doubt. I have watched a lot of top 10 Marvel Legends from a lot of top different creators, and nearly all of them have this figure in the top 10 somewhere. Everyone agrees this figure was well needed, especially the Phoenix Force form. The Jean Grey comes with two heads and two sets of hands, just about all you really need for her to be fair. She's pinless, she has butterfly articulation as well as the bicep rotation. The figure is clearly inspired by Dave Cockrum's cover art for Uncanny X-Men number 101. Is this figure the paragon of that drawing? Well, no. The green is just a little bit too dark. The gold, well, the gold is off, but to be fair, gold is extremely difficult to pull off in mass-produced plastic figures. The phoenix on her chest is a bit too large, and her hair, well, it's a bit too small. And the last nitpick is I'm not fully pleased in how the figure is required to be secured to the Phoenix Force base with all her weight being held by one little ankle joint. Well, I'll address that in a second. So how is this the gold medal winner? To be frank, it is the Phoenix Force accessory, plain and simple. It is too good. Even without the Jean Grey figure, the Phoenix itself could be top 3. It is beautiful, and everyone knows and everyone can agree on it. I love Jean. She is my favorite female character. I love the happy face, the green eyes, the red hair. She's wonderful. Clearly, it is Jean. Now, the angry face, I feel someone really loved that Famke Janssen Phoenix, and there wasn't never really a good quality action figure of her made. It was just too long ago, and the tech wasn't there to make the toys resemble the actors the way that they can now. So I feel the artist slipped this in as homage to that film's Phoenix. It is so clear. Look at the hair, the eyes, the face shape. It is Famke Janssen as Dark Phoenix. So, in that regard, you may love it or hate it based on your opinion of that film. But for me, I appreciate the artistry, the homage to the past. And I could tell you won't be looking or searching for any upgrades or mods for the actual Jean Grey figure. It is a one and done for me, which is what I love. Now, as for how she is displayed, I did add a little some. I picked up from Ollie's the Incinerator, Trooper, and Grogu 2-pack by Kenner. I got next for nothing at Ollie's. The fire elements are nearly identical to the style of the Phoenix Force. Take the Trooper and Grogu, toss them in the bin or a drawer, and boom, you can have the figure stand on her 2 solid feet. No stressing that one ankle joint. And you can get the extra fire elements, use them at your leisure. It's perfect and cheap little solution to extend the life of your figures. Poor little left ankle joint. Anyway, I absolutely love this figure. I know everyone else does. It is a showstopper and a shelf hero, a truly one of a kind. It is the gold standard of what awesome characters should be, how they should be treated in plastic form, even though the cost is a little high. If you have different top 3 Marvel Legends for the year, cool. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this video, my customs. These are presented in no particular rank or order, so make it so. Cyclops is my favorite all-time character. He's my guy. I also love the AOA Cyclops in the comics. However, no one loved the action figure. The Bucky cap body, the tiny little feet, the no shading at all on any of the blue parts, and that hair. Yikes! So for my custom, I used the AOA Cyclops head, arms from the bicep down, and the gold belt. And then from the Eternals Icarus figure, I used his torso and legs. I cut the belt off and used a little bit of extra belt to glue it back together on the Icarus body. I did a simple heat and pop the arms off, swapped them, and even though the arms are a bit loosey-goosey, he mainly just stands on the shelf next to Age of Apocalypse Jean Grey, so I'm okay with the arms. I'll probably adjust it later, but he's cool for the time being. Now, I took another Age of Apocalypse Cyclops head, cut some of the hair off with that old X-Acto knife, and super glued it covering that receding hairline up and giving him some flair like he just finished his blast or the wind caught it. Either way, I think it looks super cool.
But Bad Larry, this suit is not comic accurate.
Yeah? Well, so what? The AOA timeline and series is a what if anyway. And if you look at the art style of all these characters from AOA, and some like this version of Cyclops is more about the one eye and the hair. So the costume, I believe, was intentionally toned down to keep the focus on the hair and the one eye. But if you consider Cyclops' role as basically number two to Apocalypse, I doubt his uniform would actually be that basic. I think the unique gold highlights on the Icarus body looks totally like something Apocalypse would have come up with. The blue is a bit more shiny, and I like the figure having definitive boots separating the lower legs from the upper legs. I know that Mezco is offering their Age of Apocalypse Cyclops, but still, it's over $100. And coming from a true Cyclops fan, I don't know if it's good enough for me to try and cough up over a bill for this figure, basically just to get a couple blast effects. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it later in 2025. But for now, this is my Age of Apocalypse Cyclops. For size comparisons, here's my Cyclops next to his lovely Age of Apocalypse Jean and some few other Cyclopses. Up next is a villain, Blockbuster, from the Marauders team. For this figure, I got for super cheap from Ollie's. I used the WWE collection, the body of Hulk Hogan, and the head from Stone Cold Steve Austin, because this head is bald with a goatee, perfect for Blockbuster. This figure is basically a head swap and a repaint. I have no particular love or affinity for this character, but as an X-Men fan, I feel the need to complete these villain teams. The Marvel Legends team has provided us with Vertigo and Sabretooth, and these two figures have been dripped out. There's clearly no urgency in completing these teams. If you love Spider-Man, Iron Man, or Wolverine, well, you're dripping in figures. But outside of that, we wait and wait and wait. We get onesies and twosies out of teams, like how they just came out with that Fabian Cortez, or they gave us a few of the Starjammers, but not all of them. So if you want to complete teams, you'll probably have to do it yourself. Just give it a try. And in reality, the toy line has been trucking along since 2002. I'm actually quite surprised it's still going on. So get what you can while you still can. My motivation in completing this figure is so I could recreate some battle scenes with my X Factor X-Men figures, especially the one with Blockbuster and Colossus. So when I was putting this figure together, I knew it would be a bit smallish compared to how he is sometimes depicted. But if you look at the height difference between him and Colossus, he's clearly smaller than Colossus, so I'm okay with this. Instead of going for total 100% comic accuracy, I'm looking for the basic form and function of the figure. I painted the boots silver. I didn't have time to try and sculpt these big ass silver boots or silver spikes on the cuff. The bald head and the goatee, the crazy costume does it enough to get the job done on the shelf. It's about creating an illusion on the shelf and having some fun, not trying to be perfect. And here he is next to some fellow Marauders and X-Men for size comparison. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now this next figure, I'm sure it's going to grind someone's gears, so hate all you like, the figure is on the shelf. I am a Spider-Man fan, true, but prior to this custom, I did not own one single Spider-Man figure. Can you believe it? I love this black suit Spider-Man the best. When I first saw this iteration in the Secret Wars comic, which I do own, well, that became my favorite costume. It just always made sense to me. Most spiders are black, and this costume elicits a lot of nostalgia for me. So when I decided I needed to own at least one Spider-Man figure in my collection, well, for cheap, I looked to my fodder bin and to Ollie's. The figure uses the head from the X-Men morph. I sculpted a nose on the figure and painted it black. And I used the Despair figure. Its base body is fairly articulated with butterfly joints and the swivel calf. So I said, what the heck, a little paint, and I got me a black suit Spider-Man. I also like this Despair figure comes with open hands that have claws on the tips, which some artists have drawn the black suited Spider-Man with. So I thought that was cool. Again, I was not looking for perfection here, people, but more for the silhouette. I think of how the symbiote takes over Peter Parker's body, that the symbiote being an alive thing. So this version I created, being able to somewhat see Peter Parker's eyes, nose, mouth, his ear features, this represents Peter fighting to come out of the symbiote. So unlike a mask showing no facial features, I think of the symbiote being so tight to Peter's body, with Peter trying to escape from it, the veil being very thin. Also, with the symbol on the front and the back being a little squiggly, I feel like it creates some illusion of movement. Again, showing that Peter isn't wearing a suit, but the symbiote moving autonomously on Peter's body. Either way, this figure cost me less than $10. Very little paint, a little spritz of matte clear, and bada boom, you got your own black suit Spider-Man. It was just a fun experiment for me to see if I could make it for at least half the price retail and have it come out somewhat decent. I like it. Here he is next to a few Avengers for size comparisons. To further my Marauders Villains team, I present to you Prism. This figure is completely the AOA Iceman. I used old Blady McGee to cut off some plastic from the head, legs, and arms. A few coats of this Krylon glitter shimmer I got from Hobby Lobby, and bing bang boom, you got a Prism figure. Look, some of these characters don't spend too much time perfecting if you're customizing them. Just get them done. This Iceman figure was sitting in the bin for years doing absolutely nothing, and now it's being used and it's alive again on my shelf. Although the faceless face was a perfect match for Prism, and with a little cutting and a little glitter, I thought this would pass. This character lasted as long as a well-melanated man in an 80s horror flick, as he was absolutely destroyed by Marvel Girl in the comics. But I still wanted him to complete out the Marauders team. I specifically used the blue reference image to show that some artists draw Prism in a white base and some draw him with the blue base color. But it's all about the shimmer, baby, and look at this shimmer! Well, I still have a few Marauders figures to go. My goal is to finish that Marauders team in 2025. Here's Prism with some fellow Marauders that I have. Let me know if y'all like this simple mod down in the comments. And while you're at it, hit that old like button for Bad Larry. And this next figure actually completes a team for me. My all-time favorite team as well. The Simonson's X Factor team. My goal was to complete this X Factor number 26 cover. This figure is based purely from the Siren figure. As soon as the Siren was released, I knew she was destined to be turned into a Jean Grey or Marvel Girl for me. I love that hair sculpt, and the articulation is great as well. The red suit is my number one favorite costume for Jean Grey. I just love it. I did a little sculpting for this figure, the arm cuffs, and even though I thought the Siren figure top shelf was okay, I decided this particular version of my girl Jean needed them biggins, if you know what I mean. So I sculpted her a bigger set of mammary glands, and boy, they came out great in my opinion. Other than that, a couple coats of paint and matte clear. Oh, and I used the accessory from the Invisible Woman with a little paint to replicate Marvel Girl's telekinesis power effect. Most artists' depiction represents her telekinesis with hot pink and white, which was my inspiration for this effect. These hands are also from Invisible Woman, so the effect stays on her hand perfectly. And here she is with her fellow X Factor teammates. I love it. Remember, I made this brown suit beast ages ago. Check out that video if you'd like to see how I made that one. but I think she looks great with the team. Let me know what you think. And for my next custom, which took the second longest to finish, is my Moonight custom. I used an amalgamation of the Black Panther Hatuzarazi, however you say that name, figure. I chopped it from, I copped it from you know where, Ollie's, and I used the Zero figure that came in the Strife X Men 5 pack. I used that Hattoot head. I carved down the ears with the old Dremel. I painted the head black and got you a perfect Moon Knight head. I used the Hattoot torso and hips with the Zero arms and legs, which was nice because the Zero figure has the swivel calves. My goal with this figure was to create the illusion of Moon Knight. So all I cared about was the head being black and having the all white body. I painted on the crescent moon. It's not great, but I'm okay with it. The key for me with this figure is the cape. The Marvel Legends you can buy are better at the base body, duh. But in every cool depiction of Moon Knight, it looks like the cape is oversized. It's all over the place. It is the key feature to this figure. So I painstakingly sewed up my own. Is it perfect? No. But that is also the point. The imperfect stitching, the hodgepodging angles in fabric represents his connection to Khonshu and the mummy likeness of his costume. I got a little bandy wire in here. From afar, he looks really cool, and that's all I care about. The reason I made this figure is that I was an active duty Marine, and there are only a few characters in the comics that their identity is heavily based on the Marine Corps, such as the Punisher and Moon Knight here. For size reference, here he is. Some baddies he's gonna beat the crap out of. And for my worst, best, longest taking custom, Prince Namor. I desperately love Namor. He is definitively in my top 5 of all time characters. And to be fair, I got a little overzealous trying to convert this movie Namor into my definitive Namor. Let's check it out. All right, I got this figure here at Ollie's at the old deep discount. I took off his little jewelry, his little jewelry. I wound up giving it to Black Panther. I thought it looked more badass on Black Panther, him rocking the jewels and the bands and the gold as the king he is. The Namor that I know didn't wear any of that bling. He had these cuffs, and what I got this figure for is obviously the wings. Namor has to have these wings on his feet, but the problem I have with this Namor is that he looks like a little boy with little boy biceps next to someone like this. Look at that arm compared to that arm. He's tiny, Namor. And then even like Age of Apocalypse Cyclops, look at the difference in the beef on the arms. Wah, wah, wah. And even the leg muscles. This is softer than a peeled peach. Neymor's supposed to be freaking ripped. So I got these. I'm going to try to see, you can see at least there's some muscle definition there. At least give him some quads. I don't know if I can switch these legs out. I'm going to try. So I'm going to try to give him these legs, put these wings on these feet. I don't know if I can peel this crap off, but we'll see. And then I'm going to take, I got this little 4-pack here. Look at that price, Ollie's. Jeez. I got this, I'm going to try to take the Rock's arms and shoulders and put them on that figure. We'll see if it works out. Maybe his arms. But either way, this Neymar has got to beef up his shoulders and his arms. Alright, I got those blue legs on. Much better. I got the feet off and put back on here. But as you can see, soft, much better definition. I just have to, I ripped these little plastic pieces off. I'm going to wind up having to just Dremel these off and then cut these off with an X-Acto blade and then glue them back on there because I'm going to have to paint these legs and in the hot water, this upper torso pops right off. And the problem with this, and I'm going to have to Dremel, is that he's quite restricted going back. So this will come right off, you can see. So he's quite restricted right there. That's that forward. And it's not this part. It's actually deep in there. This is hindering him. So I'm going to wind up doing some Dremeling in there just to give him a little more ab crunch. I have the Rock out of the box, all his crap off. So I'm going to try to see if I can snug these arms in that socket if they will fit into here. It'll give this body some massive arms to that classic or that super buffed up Neymar look with that slender body and these huge arms. So I'm going to pop them in the hot water and we'll see if it works. Alright, I had to crack open the Rock, which I'm not too upset about because I had to get them shoulders. Unfortunately, as you can see, this part of the peg, it's going to be too big for that hole, so I'm going to have to still make an adjustment, but this is what I have so far. As you can see, I went over this, right, and then I gave him a little haircut because I'm going to wind up trimmed his eyebrows off because he's got to get those Neymar Vulcan eyebrows. Gonna give him his own hair. Use some putty. Took off those earrings and nose rings and such. Now I'm contemplating, I think I might just go ahead and keep the feet wrapped up, and I'm thinking about it, and just heating up and cutting off these wings and gluing them on there. We'll see. Alright, this is what I have so far. He's put together. I made some adjustments with his range. So now he goes that far to the side, that far to the other side, which is much better. that far forward, that far back. But look at the size of this beast, man. The shoulders, the arms, this is what I'm saying. He should be huge. Well, here's the final version so far. I got the hair sculpted on. That hair needed to have that super pushback hairline, super black, so those eyebrows could be drawn on, which I've done. The unit looks massive. I finally got the skin tones all to semi-match up, but I love this pose that you're able to put him in with his head up high and his back arched backwards and his hands on his hips show his princeness. He has great movement, and because his shoulders are on basically an axle, he has a cool little swimming function. I'm going to show you here. He put his arms straight and let's get into some Neymar swimming. Faster than a bullet in the water. And you would think that you wouldn't be able to put his arms up, but you actually can. His arm will stay up. It's a weird science going on with this Namor figure. And because his feet, the Atuma feet, they don't go forward. Naturally, they're kind of splayed out. They're a little wonky. He doesn't stand up super great, but he will. But look, he's checking out his biceps. He's like, I'm the freaking prince of the Atlantis, people. Bring me your invisible women. I love this figure. And for size comparison, here he is with his often foe, Black Panther. You can see I gave Black Panther all of the original movie Namor's jewelry. Here he is next to Captain America, one of his first team ups. And you can see, because of the Atuma legs, he's just slightly taller than Captain America, which I'm loving the proportions of this figure. You can see that his torso is a little bit smaller than Captain America, which gives him that runner's physique, but his arms are basically, his shoulders are bigger than Black Panther's and Captain America's, but his lower legs are going to seem a little bit smaller, and you could really see the proportions being different. I love it. At the end of the day, is this Namor perfect? No, but it's all about just having some fun. Make the figure, see what it comes out looking like. Here's another figure that requires an iconic cape. I'm talking about none other than the White Queen, Emma Frost, the cold-hearted bitch herself. The base figure here is the Fantastic Four Invisible Woman. Obviously, I got this cheap from Ollie's. A simple repaint again. I'm not too considered with the paint quality and the paint rub and try to make it all perfect and all of that. I just needed the basic form here, the illusion of the character, right? I just needed her to have some thigh-high boots and some little panties and some long arm sleeves and a little top uh, and some skin showing, because ultimately she's going to be wearing a cape the whole time. Anyway, so I got this cape material that I'm going to be using from some random doll dress accessory. I don't remember where I got it from. And the fur is obviously fake fur that I got from Hobby Lobby. So there was no sewing here. I just did some cutting and some gluing. And boo boo, what you gonna do? I have no intention of buying or upgrading this figure. I know that there's a lot of White Queen figures out there, but I feel this one just gets the job done. Okay, I need this character to sit next to my astonishing Cyclops figure on the shelf. Maybe I'm a bit of a hater on the White Queen because I adore Jean Grey so much, and well, it feels kind of weird when you see Cyclops was smashing the White Queen instead of Jean. Anyway, in 2025, I plan on making some other of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants figures, but for now, she's going to be chilling on the shelf with my boy Cyclops. Also, here she is with some other fellow mutants from her astonishing team. And to wrap up this year, 2024's custom figures is none other than the Crimson Commando. This figure's base is the Crossfire figure, the AOA Magneto head. I got the guns from the Rose figure, and I used the Incredible Hulk's red, or the Hulk Hogan's red vest, and I cut it up to make the Crimson Commando's neck silk. I can say probably I had the most fun coming up with this build. I used the AOA Magneto as my main Magneto figure, and I have had this helmetless head sitting in the fodder bin for years doing nothing. So when I saw the Crossfire figure at Ollie's, I knew it was destined for a custom. Spider-Man, maybe? No, I said to myself, I already had made the black suit one, so I knew I needed to complete some of these other X-Men villain teams. Well, I need this guy to complete a Freedom Force team, and I think he came out great. The white stripes were easy enough to sand off and touch up with some red paint. The head was critical for me. He needs to look a bit older. And I think this AOA Magneto head is perfect. I cut his long braids off. I cut some of the back hair off and a quick black mask, and you got a perfect Crimson Commando head. The belt came from an AOA Cyclops. I painted it white, and I used some of the Crossfire's original white belt to glue it together in the back. The dual weapons from the Rose figure and some smoke effects I had in the bin rounds this guy out. And the shiny red material from Hulk Hogan's vest makes his neck silk pop. This isn't my favorite actual character by any means, but he's probably my best custom that I've done so far. What do y'all think? I only have an Avalanche figure so far as his team member, but in 2025, I'm sure I'm going to fill out more of this Freedom Force team. So there you have it. Let me know what figure stood out to you the most, or which one is trash. You could roast me in the comments. Either way, subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hit that like button. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Catch y'all real soon. Peace.